All right, welcome back, folks. Today we've got another episode of one of our digital pasture walks with the Southern Risk Management Extension Center. And today we are in just outside of West Point, Mississippi, kind of in the northeastern part of the state, and in a much different scenario than what we've looked at in the past. We're in what we consider the prairie in Mississippi. A lot heavier soils, a lot darker parent material. Limestone parent material, and these soils are not well drained like the ones that we've been looking at in our past videos. And so this particular soil type allows us to grow some different forage species that we haven't looked at. And what we're looking at right now is some stockpile tall fescue. And so one of the main forage species in this area of the state, basically from I-20 north, is fescue. And in our heavier soils, it allows us to grow a cool season perennial, whereas in other parts of the state where it's a little bit more well drained and obviously a little bit warmer in the southern latitudes, this species gives us an advantage of extending our grazing season into the fall and of course during the spring months, year in and year out. And what I wanted to talk about today is basically the principle of stockpiling. So if we think about the management practice of stockpiling, we're basically managing a forage stand for use at a later time. And so what you're looking at right now is kind of an ideal scenario for stockpile tall fescue. We've come in and fertilized in late summer, early fall, and allow this forage to grow on into the fall months. And then traditionally when we begin feeding hay around the middle or end of October, we'll actually begin to graze this as opposed to having to feed hay. And just a perfect scenario or an example is on this side of the fence you've got a stockpiled area, whereas on the other side of that road right there, if you can tell, is a situation where it's got the same forage stand but has not been managed from a stockpile scenario. With timely rains and fertilizer application, this is just a great depiction of what you can expect. And today's what, October the 20th, 21st. We've had very little rainfall this month, just a couple inches during September, and so the timing your fertilizer application with the rainfall event and then being able to move those animals or to not have animals on this stockpiling period has made this ideal. And so now that we're in a kind of a droughty scenario with some of our other pasture ground, we're actually grazing green, lush forage that is high in quality and, of course, high in dry matter yield because of that fertilizer event. Usually, we recommend somewhere between 50 and 100 pounds of nitrogen. So obviously, a 75-pound unit would be ideal, but it's really all about timing and getting that nitrogen out right before a rain event to allow it to be incorporated, as opposed to sitting on the soil profile or sitting in the forage stand for several weeks prior to a rainfall event. So if you see that rain chance coming in, being able to get out there and get that fertilizer out is really key to success of a stockpile scenario. When it comes to grazing management, obviously we would love to be able to strip graze this to maximize the efficiency of our grazing, to be able to, like we've talked in the past, force these animals to graze more of the area. But like we've got in this scenario where we've got multiple pastures, we've got animals that are on some that are allowing us to stockpile this for the present time. And then once we decide to be able to start feeding hay, typically we'll be able to move those animals on here, allow them to graze this for 30, 45 days, maybe 60 days. And then during the winter time, when we start getting large amounts of rainfall, be able to put them into a different pasture for hay feeding, and then save this on into the spring when they can get back on it and begin to graze it again. But stockpiling cool season perennial grasses in the northern half of the state, again, just another tool in the toolbox to extend our grazing season, reduce the amount of hay that we're actually having to feed for relatively low costs.